Alright kids, it's been a while since I made a video on my computer instead of somewhere else where I just put up random stuff. We're going to go through some articles today, all about the primaries, because the Iowa caucus is today, and Bernie Sanders in the polls. Now, Joe Biden leads nationally, overall, by a few points, but in the specific state, Bernie Sanders is ahead. Now, it wasn't that way just, I don't know, like a month ago, maybe even like 3 weeks ago. Like, this is a very recent thing where Sanders got ahead of Biden in Iowa. We have several articles here, as you can see, talking about different aspects of it. If the left-leaning candidate gains momentum and wins Iowa and other primary battles, strategism, say market validity, could pick up. Well, why is that? That's a very interesting point about this article. That was actually the biggest point I got from this article. Why would someone who apparently cares so much about the poor, who cares so much about the people, who cares so much about, he fights for a living wage, he fights for poor minorities and women who don't make a lot of money, why would he make markets volatile if he gains momentum? Well, I think anyone with half a brainstem knows the answer to that question, and the people in charge of the economy know the answer to that question, and that's why they said what they said. They said that he's going to make the market volatile. It's because radical socialist policies destroy economies. We've seen this countless times in history and in real time. From Cuba to Venezuela to Greece to Spain to just France, Germany, all of these socialist aspects of their economies, or in Venezuela, in Cuba, for example, the entire economy. Whenever you do this, every single time without fail, Communist Russia, for example, like every single example you can think of, it messes up the economy. It crashes the economy. Every single time. Now you're going to say, wait, China's communist and their economies are the strongest in the world. But that's the thing. Their political system is very communist, but their economy is very capitalist. And that's why, again, because their economy is not communist, that's why it's so strong. Can you list a single strong socialist economy today? Like some countries, socialist is really powerful, has a lot of buying power, has a lot of say on the world stage. Nowhere. Fucking nowhere. This is why Bernie is a complete idiot. His policies suck and he will never win. I don't believe polls saying that he's going to beat Trump. There's no way. People will just realize that, no, this guy is literally talking about the communist revolution and talking about overthrowing the ruling class and taking lands and distributing lands back to the peasant. Like, those are his actual words. And he's been saying this for like almost 50 years. There's videos of him in the 60s saying the same shit. And this is a guy who's achieved nothing in his life. The only reason why he has any money whatsoever is because he's a political leech. He's never worked a day in his life. He got thrown off a commune, a socialist commune, for being too lazy. The only reason why he owns 3 homes is because he's a politician. That is the only reason. What piece of legislation has he ever introduced that has been useful, for that matter? Or just any, not even useful, because that's a subjective term, any piece of legislation whatsoever wasn't like some like donkey farming thing in Vermont or whatever. No, there's nothing. There's absolutely nothing. So that's really interesting. I'm glad me and the strategists, the economy strategists, can agree that his policies would make the market more volatile because he would crash it. So far, investors have been hedging against heightened validity, seeking safety in bonds and selling healthcare stocks. We're not going to read every single article because it's going to take forever because I have 5 loaded up. So we're just going to jump around articles and read half of them. Iowa's Democratic presidential caucuses Monday are a step towards narrowing the far-flung field of candidates, and investors can start to get worried if polls prove correct and Bernie Sanders emerges as winner. Iowa is just the first ballot, but a win by the Vermont senator could give him more momentum, and that could certainly get the market's attention. Analysts do not expect a sell-off just based on Iowa win for Sanders. But if he begins to look like the nominee in more races, validity can increase. New Hampshire's primaries the following weeks, and Sanders won there in 2016. I think the market has a run-up for a lot of reasons, but clearly they have a pricing and a Trump re-election. The betting markets are sending a positive signal on Sanders right now. The big sort of trend is Bernie. This is interesting. This right here. The market has been run up for a lot of reasons. Most notably Trump. Trump turned around the economy. Obama was running into the fucking ground for 8 years. And Trump turned around, and now we have the most strongest markets in, like, was it 40 years or something? Democrats never want to talk about that. That's why they never talk about the economy unless it's about like overthrowing the capitalist patriarchy and installist a socialist central command economy. That's the only time they ever talk about the economy is when they want to just destroy the strongest economy we had in 40 years and put in socialism. That's the only thing they're going to say about it. The market isn't really strong because of Trump, and they're betting on Trump re-election. Wow, what a coincidence. Bad orange man bad. Somehow the market isn't really good under him. But why? I thought he was oppressing everyone. I thought he was evil and racist and bigoted. But how? How is like black unemployment the lowest has been like in 30 years? How is everyone seeing increased wages? Just doesn't matter about race. He's like the worst white supremacist president I've ever seen if he just lifts everyone up. Still, you would have the left-leaning candidate would have a hard time beating Donald Trump. Oh, called it. If you're the party nominee, but the fear that there's now some level of risk that he could. Sanders is viewed as negative for the stock market. Wow, what a surprise! Didn't see that. Socialist, bad for the economy. He is in favor of significantly raising taxes on individuals and companies. Thank you for being honest. This is a CNBC article, and they are like actually being honest. Wow, holy crap. And a woman wrote this. Holy shit. Let's put this on the calendar. That CNBC article written by a woman is correct. He's negative for the stock market. People are going to be like, oh, but, you know, big stock companies, why do you care about them? You're just a little guy. Like, if the big stock companies do good, you won't see anything. Ordinary people own stocks, retard. I don't know if you know that. You probably don't because you're retarded. But when stocks rise, yes, the big companies obviously see good results, but the people owning those stocks, the everyday people who have stocks, they see their stocks go up too. That's good for the ordinary people who own stocks. I can't believe I've explained this to this. Like, my elementary school teacher had stocks. He was an elementary school teacher. Ordinary guy. And then it goes into how Sanders is ahead of Biden. Blah, 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 blah. So not only is Sanders beating him in Iowa, but he's beating him in New Hampshire, the next caucus. Anyone who's won 2 out of the first 3, they've all gone on. He's leading the 3rd or 4th states, Biden is, so it's possible he can come back. Blah, 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 Super Tuesday. Okay, it's cool. Healthcare stocks have also been hit in part because of the potential rise in Sanders, because Sanders wants to like destroy the medical system we have in this country and put in socialized healthcare. And I believe he was one of the ones who wants to get away with private healthcare insurance. I know Warren was for sure. So let me just double check to make sure I'm not making crap up. Yep. And that's not a radical right-wing source. It's a radical left-wing source admitting that. I wonder if it'll let me look, if I can see by their firewall. Yeah, okay, no, him and Sanders. So, him and Warren. So, old communist retard and Pocahontas want to get rid of private insurance. So, no wonder healthcare stocks are being hit. Just the fact that he's just rising the polls. He hasn't even won the poll yet. As of right now, it's only... this is 5 o'clock on Monday. He hasn't even won it yet, and they're already going down. This is how negative his policies would be. How negative people know his policies because they've seen it happen in real time and in history. Sanders and Warren are the most progressive. Oh, no wonder they're the media darlings. No wonder those radical Democrat loons love them so much. Their policies are clearly not pro-market. Cool. So... we'll have socialized healthcare. We'll be progressive. We won't be racist, but the economy's going to be fucked. Oh, I'm so glad we have politicians like have the priorities straight. And then another rich old white man is rising in the polls. But I thought the Democrats were progressive. I thought they weren't racist. But now Bloomberg is shooting up the polls. He just joined a couple of weeks ago, or maybe it was like a month or 2 ago. He's very late in the game. And he's already like, where is he? Warren, blah, 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 blah. Oh, so he didn't make the cutoff for the early ones because he's so late. Where is Bloomberg on the polls? Let's look that up, shall we? What are you, 5th? That was kind of old. No, that was just 2 months ago. He's in 5th place. He just joined. Or now he's 4th now. This one says 4th. Yeah. Where's the non-racism, guys? Okay, it's enough about that article. Let's keep going. So Joe Biden's not having a good time. He's slipping in the polls. He used to have a huge lead on everyone, including Sanders. Now Sanders catching up with him. And I thought that was funny. Jennifer Epstein. Wow, that is just a big coincidence. It's almost like when you look at that, when you glance at it at a quick glance, you think it says Jeffrey Epstein, right? Is that a coincidence? Is that a 6-star coincidence? I'm sure it is. See, here's the funny thing. What the Democrats are trying to impeach Trump over, Joe Biden actually did. I think that there's memes about it. They are trying to impeach Donald Trump on corruption in Ukraine when Joe Biden was the one that was corrupt in Ukraine. So if Joe Biden wins the presidency, then the GOP is going to be like, well, we just went through like 2 years, actually, really 5 years. 2015 was when he announced his candidacy. We've been seeing nonstop bullshit for half a fucking decade from these guys. But the impeachment thing within the last like 2 years or 3 years or whatever. Actually, I think people were saying to impeach him as soon as he got elected. But that's beside the point. The fact is, GOP sitting there like, we just watched the biggest fucking circus clown of a charade for the past 3 years. But Democrats trying to impeach Trump when there was absolutely nothing of substance. They said nothing of substance the entire time. So now we're sitting here, and Joe Biden did the exact same thing that they tried to impeach Trump over. So now we're going to impeach Joe Biden. And then it's going to be this tit for tat where every single time there's a president that the other party doesn't like, they're just going to make up bullshit and impeach him. The Democrats set such a horrible precedent for this stupid bullshit that they did. They showed the world that, hey, if you don't like the president, if you think he says mean words, he's a nasty bully, then you can just make up shit and impeach him. There's a reason why Donald Trump's only the 3rd president to be impeached ever in this country, is because the severity of that claim is so severe. People didn't just say it on a whim, just because they didn't like the president because they're the opposite party. No, people are actually mature back then, and now they're not. So now they have introduced a dangerous precedent. Well, now the GOP is going to be like, well, you guys did it. You guys did it for 3 stupid years. So now we're going to do it. And Democrats, they're going to do it. It's going to be tit for tat, and then it's not going to mean anything. Impeachment is not going to mean anything. And then when the president actually does do something wrong, worthy of impeachment, everyone's going to be like, no, it's a joke. It's like the boy who cried wolf. This is the boy crying wolf here. Now, this is funny. Jill Biden has her panties in a bunch because she's just a dumb bitch. She's no longer friends with Lindsey Graham because Lindsey Graham wants to look into Hunter Biden's activities in the Ukraine. She said that Lindsey Graham said hurtful things about her family. Well, what did she say? The only thing that Lindsey Graham did was to say that Hunter should testify before a Senate committee. But apparently that's hurtful. And that was so hurtful to her fragile little ego. Or the fact that she knows Hunter's guilty as fucking corrupt as fuck. You know that's the reason why. So she gets so butthurt that Lindsey Graham's actually, he's not even calling out Hunter Biden. He's just like, hey, why don't you just come over and talk? That's not calling you out or anything. It's just like, hey, I thought it looked like you did some like shady shit because you're just random fuck up from nowhere. But you have that last name and you have an important daddy. And then suddenly you're in charge of this multi-million-dollar corporation in Ukraine. Of oil and natural gas when you didn't even major in that at all. Like, it's so shady. It's so fucking shady. If that isn't nepotism, then I don't know what is. And I thought Democrats were against nepotism. Like, what coincidence that all these politicians are doing stuff that apparently they don't agree with. Wow, never saw that one coming. That's never happened in the history of the world. So Lindsey Graham, all he said was, yeah, Hunter should testify for a Senate committee. And then Biden said, oh, those are hurtful things with my family. I'm going to unfriend you. So those are the 3 articles that I had saved up, and then actually I just loaded up my computer, and these 2 articles came up that are also pertinent. And so I haven't read these before, so let's go into these. A Democratic campaign that has cost more than $1 billion. Wow, they wasted that much money on this bullshit? Holy shit. I can think of so much better ways to spend $1 billion and to go through that circus we've been seeing for months and months, but that's beside the point. Dash the ambitions of veteran politicians, forced conversations about race, gender identity, but that's just a weird way of saying minorities and women just screaming about white men. That's what they mean by that. Any conversation about race, gender, identity, it's not a conversation. It's a one-way screaming match about minorities and women hysterically yelling that there's white supremacists everywhere and we just need to enact all these policies that favor them at the cost of white men because white men have privilege and they're evil, and if they're not a pure racist, then they actually are racist inside, so they're all hiding, and it's a big cabal of white men, and they all just hide their racism, they all like get along. Oh, it's so funny. It's so funny. You think that's exaggeration? You think I'm parodying that? I'm really not. I'm the one who can pull our party together, Massachusetts Pocahontas told supporters on Monday at a telephone town hall. A telephone town hall? That sounds horrific. Why the fuck would you ever put anyone through that? Taking an indirect dig on her rivals. Well, because she's passive-aggressive cunt. That's what cunts do, okay? I'm the one who's going to pull us all in to give us ideas that we can all run on. The one who says both inspiration and inclusiveness. You have policies that want to alienate like 30% plus of the population. You have so many policies that are anti-white male, and whites are about 60-something% of the population, so half of that are men, so that's 37%. So you want to talk about inclusivity when you are so anti-white male, and you just alienated 30% of the population right off the bat. But that's inclusivity for her. That's the doublespeak. Doublespeak is an amazing term that George Orwell talked about that is used by politicians every single day. Doublespeak is language that deliberately obscures, disguises, distorts, or reverses the meaning of words. Doublespeak may take the form of euphemisms, downsizing for layoffs, and servicing a target for bombing, in which case it's primarily meant to make the truth sound more palatable, or also its intentional ambiguity in his language, or actual inversions of meaning. This is what I'm talking about. In no objective way does inclusivity mean alienating 30% of the population right off the bat. And really, when we talk about anti-white in general, that's really 60+% of the population. There is no way that, let's say we brought in an alien who has no context to anything, and we taught him the meaning of being inclusive. He's like, okay, I got it. That brings everyone together, includes everyone. And then like, okay, here's a policy that excludes 60% of the population of a country. He's like, that's not inclusive. Duh. Anyone with half a brainstem who's not brainwashed in radical liberal ideology could figure that out. But those people are increasingly rare these days. Polls suggest that Vermont Bernie Sanders may have a narrower lead, but any of the top 4 candidates, Sanders, Biden, Warren, and Buttplug, could score victory in Iowa's unpredictable and quirky. They're quirky. They're quirky. It's stupid. It's just quirky. Caucus system as organizers prepare for record turnout. Senator, that mom of your friend who's really fucking annoying, who represents neighboring Minnesota, is also claiming momentum. That's the last thing I want her to claim. Well, outsider candidates, such as entrepreneur, Chinaman who's bad at math, billionaire activist Tom Steyer, who literally no one has ever heard of ever, and Hawaiian Representative Tulsi Gabbard could be factors. That's stupid. What the fuck? See, look at that guy's face. That's the kind of face I would picture running a campaign for Buttplug. That guy too. Look, almost exactly the same. That I can't even tell whether that's a woman or a man. That guy looks like he wants to die inside because of this thing that Bucket's doing. So just like, why? Why is any of this happening? Really? Oh, that's the place where he kissed his 19-year-old granddaughter on the mouth. This exact room, if I remember correctly. So that's okay. Is that a thing? Is that a thing that Democrats are with now? I'm sorry you have to see this, guys, but if I have to endure it, you have to endure it. Why is that okay? Why is this okay? Why is any of this okay? He's done it more than once. He's done it more than once. These is 2 separate pictures. Look at that face. Look how uncomfortable her face is. Obviously she doesn't like this. Holy shit, this is so creepy. Biden allies lower expectations for Iowa. Most feel it's not going to be great. Oh, your poor babies. They're not feeling so well because their candidate is like, should have been retiring in like in a nursing home like 20 fucking years ago. And probably in an isolated ward so he doesn't molest anyone else for that matter. And they're just now realizing this as his numbers are tanking, as people slowly but surely realize that he's not our guy. You know, Sanders is retarded as well, but at least he's not creepy. What? This picture again? Why? Why? What other dumb pictures do we have here? Okay. Bill Weld. Cool. He's cool. He was the vice president's candidate for Gary Johnson back in 2016. I don't know why he's there. What the fuck is up with this guy? Look at that head. Look, is that the back of his head and that's the front of his head? That is the weirdly shaped head. That guy's actually pretty normal. First normal guy we've seen. But what the fuck is that? I have no idea. Oh, God. Another guy you should have been in a retirement home like 20 years ago. Oh, God. Pocahontas. God damn it. Let me see if I got this straight. Black woman. Can't tell. And one guy who's probably a beta cuck because his wife made him to go to this stupid fucking event. And that's all I got. That is my news roundup for the Democratic Caucus, and we will see what happens because it's going to end in a few hours. And then they will be new fodder to make fun of because this is completely dumb.